code. Okay, I think I'm recording. Did you guys get like a little like consent to recording notification?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I want to use our time really, really wisely. So I'm going to start with the skills that we haven't gone over yet. And then with the extra time, I will kind of just start from the beginning and walk through the analysis. But the skills that we haven't gone over yet is like a content analysis for qualitative data. So qualitative data is like these text responses where it gets where we're not selecting based on like fixed options. They have like the freedom to provide whatever feedback they have, and that's these last three questions of the feedback category or the feedback data sheet. The best thing about this program was one thing I would change, and a program that Sonoma County Regional Parks should do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all this data and I'm going to copy
Data
it.
on Canvas?
Say it again.
Is that data can find on Canvas?
Yes. So on Canvas, it's under this description.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. So I'm going to copy these three questions. I'm going to open up another sheet. I'm going to paste it in. And you can make these bigger, smaller, whatever makes it easy for you to analyze. I'm going to wrap the text. Boop, boop. Okay. So I'm actually just going to start with one. So I'm going to get rid of these for now. So I'm going to analyze this question. The best thing about this program was, and I'm going to be coding these answers and kind of turning them into quantitative answers that I can do like an analysis on, like we can do with the other questions. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to like read through all of these and get like a general understanding of like the information that's here. I'm not going to do that right now. I've already read this, so I already have a general understanding, but what all of you will do is you'll take a little bit of time and you'll read through it. And after that, you're going to go one by one and you're going to code these answers. And so what you're going to do is you're going to create a couple of like tally sections to analyze the content. So I'm going to start with this first one, being out in nature and learning more about the regional park. I'm going to come up with a couple of like general words to describe these, and I'm going to add them as like tally mark sections. So I'll show you what that looks like. So being out in nature, I'm going to put nature. And I'll put a little, I don't want the date. I'll put a like a one on a one underneath that. All right, there we go. And then I might also add like learning and do the same thing. Jeez. Okay, and then I'm gonna move on to the next one. So being outside, so I'll add one that's like outside. And I'll add a one here. And then I might also add hiking. And these categories can be as specific or as general as you think. So like if this says, if like I chose hiking, but it could be like exercise. And I would count this one as one. And then as I continue on, if there's another comment that mentions exercise, I don't need to add another category. I just add another tally mark for that category. And so as you go, you'll get a lot more of these categories, and hopefully there's some overlap based on the categories that you choose. And then you'll be able to like tally based on those categories how many respondents mentioned that the best thing about the program was that it was outside or that they got to do exercise, etc. Questions before I keep going?
I have a question, but mine is a little bit more not well kind of so your sheet looks very clean to me and mine since like the words are very long they bleed onto the other columns. How do I fix that?
Sorry, I should have explained what I did to fix that. So when your sorry, the like zoom bar is always in the way. When your data is like overlapping each other, you just select it. And then you can come over to the home ribbon. And then there's this little like drop down right here that's like an A, B, C with an arrow. If I select that, it will have my, like right now it made my text like bleed onto the next. If I click it again, it wraps my text. So the cell that the text is in will fit in that cell. It'll adjust the size of the cell so I can read everything.
Okay, cool.
Did that
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Can you do that one more time?
Yeah. So let me undo it. So I've selected my text right now. All of the cells are the same size, but we can see like in this cell right here, there's a ton of text and it's like overlapping, which would make it challenging to see. And also, like if there was data in the cell next to it, you just wouldn't be able to see the rest of that. So I'll select this column, and then right next to like the orientation before like this little numbers section, none of these are labeled, right underneath Acrobat or View, depending on if you have Acrobat or not, there's this wrap text button. You just click that and it'll adjust the size of the cells so the text fits in it and you can read it no matter whether there's data in the cells next to it or not. Cool, cool, cool. Did anybody have questions about the content analysis part yet? All right, I'll do a little bit more just so you have like a good amount of examples, but it's pretty straightforward. I could even, like as I'm going, I might want to like broaden my categories, which is totally cool. So I could do nature / outside or like outdoors. And then instead of this column, I just add to this one. It'll just depend on how many categories you end up wanting to have. More specific, you'll have more categories. More general, you'll have less. So coming down to this next one, the leaders of the group as a whole were wonderful. So you could do staff / leads. Add in one right here. Watching the moon rise. I'd say that's nature and outdoors. Actually doing the thing, not just hearing or watching. I wonder what they're talking about. But we could add in experience and then add in a one here. Access to a new area. New place. Add a one. John, a volunteer, shared lots of great information about the land. Let's go staff and then maybe add in like learning / new info. Add a one there. There's 2 volunteers on the hike. John especially was so knowledgeable and shared great info on plants, animals, etc. So friendly, not preachy or pushing an agenda. Such a great sharer of interesting information. Event seemed well organized by Andrew and the team. They made sure to check in on people and were very friendly. So that's a lot of words, but I think they fit with a lot of our categories. So we definitely have staff in there. Great information. Friendly, that seems like staff. Interesting info, well organized. Yeah. Learning a new skill, learning new info, probably experience, because talk about skill. Priorities were fit into class time. I could even add like an organization and then add a 1 for this comment and for this comment. My child could attend, add like family / friends / community, time spent together, add a 1 here. One tool that will probably be helpful as you do this type of analysis is like freezing cells. So you can do that by coming over to view, and then you could freeze the top row, so that way when you scroll, that top row is still there, and then you can also freeze the first column, so as you scroll this way, all of the comments are still here. I would recommend doing that. I'll do a little bit more. Loved experiencing the park at night, hearing the creatures, seeing bats, on the lake in the dark. So the experience. Yeah. No comment here. Discovering new areas. So new. Maybe like outdoors and nature. Maybe put outdoors and nature there too. Views, outdoors and natures, talking to the volunteers. It was fun. That's the experience, seeing the sea life, nature and outdoors. We kind of getting the vibe here. Gabby, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, I think I remember you saying that we don't necessarily have to do all of the exact same categories that you're making. Like we can kind of just make our own categories that we feel fit either like more or less.
Yes.
Okay.
After you go all through this, you'll basically just do a count or a sum formula. Either one will work. Let's go count, and then just do the range, and it'll count how many responses came up for each of those categories. And then from there you can make a little table, and then a chart that shows the overall like best things about the programs that participants recorded. Does that make sense? Does anybody need to see that one more time?
You said you'll get the sum of each category and then like make a report on which category was the most desirable or like
Yeah. So kind of
Okay.
like similar to like what we did for like the number of staff per park. After you get the number of responses for each of the categories that you come up with, I'll take that information and make like a chart and do like nature, outdoors, learning. Make a table like this, and then do the sum formulas here. And do the same thing over here. So I get all the categories, and then I can select this table, insert a chart, and then create like a bar chart with all of the categories that you came up with, and then how often those categories were mentioned in the responses. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that. Thank you.
Cool. Does anybody else have any questions about content analysis?
My question is, never mind, I'll wait.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, because I'm kind of like still trying to figure out have started off with the blank spreadsheet because I'm looking at the one that I downloaded, and I tried to do a new one, but it's like purely blank, and I'm trying to like do what you did.
So do you have the data that's like RP programs, plan programs, feedback, and information?
Yeah.
Okay, to add a new data sheet, you come down like where the tabs are, where you go between the different sheets.
Yeah.
There's one that has a little plus sign.
That's
You
it.
click that, and you got a new blank sheet.
Right.
And then what you'll do to get the info from the feedback is you'll come over, you'll just select those columns, copy it, paste it in the new sheet, and then you can do like one sheet for the best thing, one sheet for one thing I would change, and then a third sheet for a program that Sonoma County Regional Parks should do. And you'll just repeat that process for the content analysis for each of these 3 questions.
Okay. So M through N, what is it? M through N. Yeah, so basically you copying M through N to the new spreadsheet.
M through O onto a new sheet. Or one sheet for M, one sheet for N, one sheet for O.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Questiones?
If there's a blank space like there is for like one thing I would change, do we just disregard that?
Yeah, just skip that line. Make sure that like your tally marks line up with the corresponding comment. You also could like it doesn't matter for this like where the data is because we're not connecting a comment to a specific person. So you also could like select the whole column. Let me move my Zoom bar again. And then remove duplicates. No, I don't want to remove duplicates. I want to remove blank spaces. I guess you could just sort it. And that'll get rid of it. So selecting it and then sorting that list A to Z, it'll put them all together. And so you don't have to worry about those blank spaces.
Okay, cool. And I see that there's a question mark. Is that something that we would take into account, or would that be considered maybe a blank space also?
I wouldn't include that.
Sounds good.
Yeah, just disregard. And then if it says like NA or nothing, I might include that in a section. It'll depend on like as the researcher, if you're interested, if somebody said that they don't want to change anything, or if you only want to focus on the things that they would change. Like, I think if it was me personally who was analyzing this data, I would maybe get rid of or disregard like the NA, no change needed, no input, like kind of disregard all of those and only focus my analysis, so like my table and my chart, on the things that people are like, hey, this needs to be addressed here. Because I want to make the programs better. So I'm going to focus on the feedback that helps me do that.
Okay, cool.
It's up to you. There's a little bit of freedom here. Not everybody's is going to look the same for the most part. Any more content analysis questions? Cool. All right. How much time we have? We have a little bit of time. So I think I'll just kind of go through and like demo some of the other analysis. Unless if somebody wants me to do something really specific, I can also show that kind of stuff too. Maybe there's already a video that shows you how to analyze this sheet. So I'm going to ignore this sheet because you can go and look back at the YouTube video. I'll start with the feedback form data. And what's a good example one? So you're going to be making basically a chart for most of these columns. And you can either do this manually or you can use pivot table pivot charts. And we're basically, I guess I'll just start here. So the program was fun. We're trying to see how many people said strongly agree, how many people said agree, how many people neither agree or disagree, etc. So we're just basically getting like a count of all of those, and then we'll make you could do either a pie chart or a bar chart since it adds up to 100%. So what I'll do it manually because that's the one that can be more confusing. So I'll give my like chart a little title, and then I'm going to copy all of the different options there are. So there's strongly agree, there is agree, there is neither agree or disagree, there is disagree, and there is strongly disagree. All right. And then from there, I'll do my count if, select our range and our criteria. So it's counting from this column, was this program fun? How many times strongly agree comes up? And I'll put in some limiters. And I'll take that formula all the way down. And then I'll double check that my range is good. Yep. And it's asking about agree. Double check here. Yep. Nope, not that. Double check in here. Double check in here. So that is really what we've done a bunch of times. Super simple, and you could even do this. Copy, paste it down here. Oops. Paste it down here. Change the question. And I want to change the range. So I'm just moving the range over, basically. So now instead of counting or the range being, was this program fun? My range is now, the information was delivered in a way that was relevant to me, but they're all the same options. And so I just push enter, bring this down, double check it. It's all there. I can do that again. Copy it, paste it, next question, label it, change my range from the F column to the G column, enter, paste it down. So it should be pretty quick. Did everybody see that? Did I go too fast? Do I need to do it again? How we feeling?
There are some typos where like disagree isn't spelled right, so I'd have to go in and change that because there's like 1 or 2 disagree in the category, but it wasn't, it was spelled wrong. So
cool. So that's part of cleaning up the data. Really, really good catch, especially for this type of data where everything looks so similar. You also, like, a quick way, so you don't have to like read each one, you can just like select do the like move this bar out of the way. You can do like the find and select and just like change the like preemptively change everything that could be spelled wrong to the correct spelling. That's just an option. And then there'll be like a couple where there's like an NA option, and that's from putting together the recreation and the interp programs. This question is only asked of the interp programs, and this question is only asked of the rec programs. So you'll just add an NA category, or you can just ignore it too. Any other questions?
With, sorry, just for clarification, with
Yeah.
that data, we're making like a bar chart or a pie chart.
Mhm.
Okay.
So you'll then select just each chart. I don't know why this Zoom bar needs to be so big. Insert. Where's my charts? Can insert. Let's do a bar chart. And then you'll edit this chart based on what you want it to say. I'm gonna adjust my range here. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. And I then like changed the chart title. This program was fun. Lots of folks agree or strongly agree. Somebody did not have a good time. I don't know why that's happening. My chart went away and it's hidden weirdly right here. But yeah, then you just go through and do that again. Again, you can also do like a pivot table, pivot chart, if you want to. What would be a good example to show for that? Pivot table would be good to do for maybe like the number of programs per park. Let's see. Freaking Zoom. So I'll select all my data, pivot table, okay. And then I'll select the number of maybe like program hours per park. And I'll put park in rows. Total of program hours.
How did you do that?
Oops,
Real
that
quick.
ignore all of that. So I went and I selected all of the data here. So I just went to this A1 cell, Command All. So selected all the data. I went to insert. On a PC, this will look a little bit different. I think that there's like a little drop down. On a Mac, it just says pivot table. It's going to ask you where you want the data. I want it in a new worksheet, so it'll create a new worksheet for me, and I'll push OK. And then I'm going to move around the different field names. I'm trying to remember where I put them. So number of participants can go in values. And then the park can go in rows. Number of participants, count per park. That's what I want. I typically do pivot table, pivot charts only when I'm working on my PC because I do not like how it works on a Mac, but that is a personal preference. Number of participants. Good example of how you can like play around with stuff though. So park, I definitely want rows. Count per parks. And then number of participants. I guess that works. So this is how many times there's a program at a park. This is the number of participants per park. Then you could insert a chart based on this. Does that make sense? I was fumbling through that a little bit. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question, but it's not regarding that.
Okay.
I'm still in the beginning phase. When I just copied everything from the other page to a new sheet, and my boxes are hecka big. How do I shrink them?
Zoom out.
Oh,
Did that work?
yeah.
Cool. Any other questions? You also could do, we could do like a little sum. Oh, that's what I should show you, is a sum if. So for like number of program hours per staff member, you're gonna do a sum if formula. So I'll take like Ellie, for example. This is gonna be my table. So I want to know how many, I guess how many participants Ellie has done programs for. So I'm gonna go equals sum if parentheses, and my range is going to be staff lead, comma, my criteria is going to be Ellie, and what I want to sum is the number of participants. So this is summing the number of participants that have done a program where Ellie is the lead, and that is 60. And then I can do that for other staff members. Zoom in a little bit. Bring it, add in the limiters. I'm not adding a limiter to the criteria, the red one, because I want that cell to bump down. And then I do that for another staff member. Does that make sense? So it's counting how many participants per staff member. And I'll do that for each of the staff members and then create a chart. Does anybody want to see the inputs for the sum if one more time?
Yes, please.
Okay, cool. So for the sum if, it also prompts you, which is really, really awesome. So if I want to know how many are for Ellie, I'll zoom in more. Is it helpful if I zoom in? Sum if, parentheses, and then this little cheat sheet pops up. So I want the range of my criteria. So I want to pull that data from the staff lead column. If I wanted like staff period, I would include support staff. But just for ease of showing you guys, I'm going to show you. I'm just going to use this range. Next is a comma, and then I'm going to put in my criteria. So I want it to sum every time it says Ellie, add a comma, and now I need the sum range. So where are the numbers? The numbers are here. And the number of participants, close parentheses. I could add in my limiters here just so I don't have to remember. So on both of our ranges, we want to add those in, but we do not want to add them on the criteria. Enter. Why is that different? Did I not select the whole range? I did not. I wanted to start at C2. Boom, there we go. So Ellie has worked with 60 participants. Now, since I put my limiters in, I can drop that down and it'll count for Katya and Michaela. Alondra, do you have a question?
Yeah. I got to the point where you were doing right now, but I noticed that Michaela has 64 and there's only 53 or 50 4. Is that right, or is that overlapping with Mitch?
Ooh, such a good question. We might need to differentiate with Mitch. Let's see. Let's make Mitch different. And see if that changed mine. Looks like no. And remember, it's counting the number of participants. So even though there's only 50 something programs, there's more than one participant per program. That make sense?
Yeah.
That didn't sound like a very sure yeah.
No, yeah, that makes sense.
Anybody else? Some ifs, questions? Okay, cool. So that's going to be the process that you do for basically all of this. Except for this first one is not actually a sum if, that's a typo. It's just a sum. You know how to do that. And then average is just getting the average of participation for the season. I'll show that, I guess. Average participation, you're just gonna go here, equals average, select the range here. And we can make that a more reasonable decimal situation by coming up to home and just like I'd round it to a whole number because you don't have pieces of people participating in a program typically. So on average, 18 people participated in each program.
Will you do that one more time?
Yeah. So I'm going to come to the number of participants. What's it called? Column, geez. I'm going to go equals, start typing in average. Select average, and then I'm just selecting the range. So the top number, bottom number, close parenthesis, enter, on average 18. Cool, cool, cool. Make it stand out too. Oopsie. Make it bold. Add average participation. Make this kind of stand out. If you wanna, not required. Do I ask you for the average program hours? No, but I could show you anyway. Just go like this, boop. On average, 3 hours per program. That's fun. Any other questions? That's really almost if not all of the skills that you will need. The formulas, some if, some.
Yeah, I have questions after question after question. At this point, I feel like I did my sheet super wrong. Yeah, this is definitely going to take more than. I'm in the like very beginning phase where I barely like copied the stuff, some of the stuff to the new sheet, but it looked like it's now that I'm looking back on y'all screen, it's a whole different world over here.
Okay. How about, I don't know how much time you might have after class. Maybe if you have a few minutes, we can share screen, and we can get you set back on the right track.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, cool. Is anybody else feeling like they're in a different universe?
Yes.
Okay. Sam, do you want to stay after a little bit?
Yeah, I might be able to. I just have another class
Okay.
15 minutes later.
We can also set up a time later this week as well, if that's
Yeah,
better.
that would probably work a lot better.
Okay. And that goes for everybody. Like if what we just went through was like really, really confusing, or you're feeling like I missed a really crucial step, send me an email. We can set up a quick Zoom call. We can share screen, get you on the right track. But remember, you've got the Excel proficiency part 2 video that walks through a lot of these. I'm going to post this recording on YouTube as well. So all of the things that I just showed you, you can go back, watch it slow, all of that. And then we can set up time if you get to a place where you're stuck. But I'm very confident that you all can do all these skills. I think it'll be really, really good practice. A lot of it is really repetitive. So hopefully that means like muscle memory afterwards. Yeah. We have like, I don't know, like 5 minutes left. Does anybody have anything relevant for everybody to see? And anybody's welcome to stay after too.
I was wondering when you think you might be able to post this Zoom recording.
I am going to download it as soon as I'm done here. And then it depends on how long YouTube's going to take to upload it, but I'll do it right after class.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is this one due next week or after Thanksgiving?
It's everything that's on week 13 is due Tuesday before class after break. So you
Okay.
have like 2 weeks.
Okay. That's good. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? All right, if most folks are feeling good, we can end a little bit early. If you want to try and share screen after class, go ahead and stay on, and we'll move through it as quick as possible. But thank you guys. I'll see you after break. I hope everybody has a really, really restful break. Spend time with family, friends, whoever means something to you. And I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to know if you could go through the sum if again. I know some people asked a couple times, so I didn't want to ask again.
Yeah, I'll do that really quick. Boop, boop. Okay, that's not what I wanted. All right, are you seeing my data sheet?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's come over to here. So for sum if, like for example, if we're gonna try and figure out the number of participants per staff member, I'm first gonna make like a little, I'll make a table with all of the staff names, but just to show you, I'll give like one example. But basically you'll want to take all of the staff names and put them down here. You with me so far?
Yeah.
You can do that like I was just doing, copying, pasting. And then also in the YouTube video for the Microsoft Proficiency, it shows like a quick way to make that type of table. So you can look there too. But for the sum if, we'll zoom in. We'll go equals sum if, add a parenthesis, and our little cheat sheet comes up. So first you're going to do your criteria range. And so that's just going to be the column with all of the staff names. So I'm going to select all of the info in this column. I'm going to add a comma, and I want it to sum when it sees this person's name. So right now it's my name. So that's your criteria. Then I'm going to add in my sum range. So these are the numbers that you want the formula to add. And for this one, that's the number of participants. Then I add in my closed parentheses. So I've got a range, a criteria, and another range. And it's highlighted in the color coordinated colors, I guess. And I could push enter here and it will give me the right answer. But to set myself up for some easier stuff later, I am going to add $signs. These are our limiters. So this kind of like freezes our range. So when I paste down this formula for other names, it's not going to move my range around. And then I'm going to push enter. And then it counts how many participants are in programs where I am the staff lead. And then we can just drag this down and it'll do that for Teresa and it'll do that for Alexis as well.
Okay,